I'm still doing my research on Harriet Tubman. I should be going live tonight or some night in order to give this thing the full attention it deserves. But it says here the Underground Railroad is no myth. A regular organization to which the name has been applied stretches through every free state of the Union and has agents and emissaries or whatever on the borders of every slave state and all along the routes traveled by fugitive slaves. It is a systemized association of Negroes and Republican abolition whites having for its object the enticing away of the slave property of the South and its safe transportation into Canada. Canada? Canada? Wait a minute. Got this newspaper clipping from here. It was done in 1860, okay? And it's entitled The Canada Negroes. Underground Railroad, practical operation of the Underground Railroad. Canada Negroes. I thought they were just going north. All the way north, super north? Let's keep going. Because it's also at 1861 that I had found this relief for fugitives in Canada, and you saw Harriet Tubman on the committee. Relief for Canada fugitives. There's the word fugitive right there too. And Canada, and Underground Railroad, which she's supposedly known about. And to be honest, the first mentions of Harriet Tubman in the newspapers are in 1860. Now, why is this interesting? Why is it interesting that Harriet Tubman, the first mentions I hear of her are around 1860, and it's going to be when she is taking people to Canada. And of course, 1865 is when slavery ends, so that's only 5 years. So it's not like she was there doing this forever. But shouldn't she just be taking them to the north? She got them completely out of the country, because we're going to talk about here in a minute the other states she could have brought them to. But let's not forget, I got files on her from the government talking about how she was in the war, how she was with the military. This is a major general talking about her. A letter from them talking about a colored woman was nursing the soldiers during the war. In fact, they called her Moses because of that. But then they tried to say that she's known as Moses later for the slave thing. But I have known her as a noble, high, true, whatever, right? But she also was a spy. Right? Harriet Tubman. We're talking about, we got the chairman, invalid papers. This is the merchant, whatever, a man or whatever. It says, I herewith papers of Harriet Tubman Davis, a bill for the relief or whatever. Mrs. Davis is now receiving pension for $8 a month. Widow of her husband, from being widow of a husband of her claim. But now she's also trying to get money for also being, she was a nurse, a cook in the hospital, and a spy. And they say she gave great information. If you want a real big breakdown of this, you're gonna have to go to my live streams where I really break these letters down. Well, I haven't done this one yet. This one I'm gonna do tonight, but I did a previous live stream about Harriet Tubman part 1. Part 2 will be tonight. You can find it on YouTube, Twitter. Those are the playbacks. But yes, Harriet Tubman, of the authors or whatever, celebrated as a colored Union scout and spy, and having helped to freedom many of her race, was lately married. Okay, and that's in 1860 something. I can't barely see it, but right there. Sounds all prominent and all good, right? But still, they were going to Canada. Canada. Now let's riddle this. You have a lot of different free states here. It's best to see it through this lens, though, where it talks about the slave population. And you have the states right here. Now, do you see these areas where there's dots? That either means they didn't count people yet because they didn't get to that state yet, or that they didn't have, if it's like over on this side, like for New Hampshire, you go over here, you'll see dots because they didn't have slaves like that. Same things in like New York. If you look at New York, you got New York here. Starts off with 21,000 slaves, 15,000, 10,000, 75, 4, None. Dot right here. Right? So what you have here are states that may have had slavery and they got rid of the slaves or got rid of slavery, whatever the case may be. They may have taken and for most of us, we know slavery was more like a system for criminal prosecution in a sense, or criminal, not prosecution that's going through courts, but confinement, like a jail, because they didn't have major jail prison complexes back in the day, insane asylums and stuff like that. But what I'm getting at is slavery in many cases was used for that. Now, there were prisoners of war, there were also apprenticeships, there were also just paper genocide where they called you a slave just because you lived at a house as a dependent of a family. That's all just a whole nother thing. But what I want you to take away from this is there's many states in the North that had free populations in which she could have easily just brought them to those states. So my question is this: if these were the slave-holding states, these were the northern states where a lot of slavery was mostly free, especially by 1860 when you first start seeing that she was even in anything of a person. Why would she take them from here all the way to Canada instead of going from here to there, from here to there, from here to there, or wherever that was more convenient within the same country they were already in? We're just escaping slavery, right? We should just be wanting to get people to freedom, right? Nobody said to leave the whole damn country. But let me also show you in this paper where it says here that it says she was employed in the hospital and as a spy, and she made many raids within the enemy lines, displaying remarkable courage, zeal, and fidelity. She was employed by General Hunter, and I think by Generals Sherman or whatever. So she was employed by generals. That's no low thing. Like at one point, she was able to draw rations from the army, and other soldiers were getting jealous of her drawing these rations because she was a colored person in a sense. But it shows she was also paid $200 and all these other things that we'll have to get into as she provided first aid and other things too. And somewhere in one of these documents, I got to find it, but I don't really have a lot of time right now. But you'll find it on my live stream tonight. They say that she had access to all the government routes that she can get to. She could pass within any kind of government route that she needed to in the North. So it's like, okay, well, if you can pass through anywhere. But my thing is this, as we end this video off, you have a person who's sending people to Canada. They have access to government transports at their will, access to rations, coming behind enemy lines, being a spy. And if you would think when all that information, you would say, oh man, they're giving her so much help. Well, yeah, she could have easily helped get slaves up to the North because she had government help. She had access to rations and to procure any kind of thing that she needed to procure from the government. And she also had access to, the routes and stuff. So why would she not take them from here to a free state instead of from here to fucking Canada? Because obviously she wasn't taking people from here to free states. You were trying to get people out of America. You were trying to get Indians who may have been prisoners of war at this time in these states from here to Canada, offering them a place to go besides the America area they already know. Now, notwithstanding that, I do know that there are some of our people up in this zone that are indigenous as well, but our people were highly up in this zone, okay? And we know that. We've seen it on maps like this. They show the so-called slave population density. But we also see it in this map of arrowheads, the density of where people have always been living for over 11,000 plus years, 13,000 actually. Not to say that we wasn't in Canada, but there's something fishy. You got a spy colored woman going behind enemy lines, taking people all the way to Canada, ignoring all the northern states where you could be free and still in the same country. They be playing. We'll go over this later. Catch my live.